What exactly is an MVP? How did this all start? Why did its name change? And how is it chosen? All of this and more on a new series I'm calling I Know Ball. No player in the history of MLB received the MVP award between 1869 and 1930. Why was that? Well, that's because it didn't exist yet. In 1931, the baseball gods decided that someone needed to be named the MVP every year, and it was up to the Baseball Writers Association of America, or the BBWAA, to decide. The BBWAA is basically the group of baseball journalists that control everything and have all the power. Originally, one writer in each city voted for their pick on a 10-place ballot with 10 points for their first pick, 9 to their second pick, 8 to their third pick, etc., etc. In 1938, the BBWAA changed the number of voters to 3 per city and made the first place vote worth 14 points instead of 10. In 1961, they changed the voting to the current system, and that's where 2 writers from each MLB city are selected to vote on the award. So every year, these special journalists from this special association get to pick 60 of their finest members, and those are the ones who choose the MVP for both the American League and the National League. We'll get into more detail on how it's chosen a little bit later on in the video. The MVP award was actually named the Kennesaw Mountain Landis Memorial Baseball Award from 1944 to 2020. It was named in his honor because he was the MLB commissioner from 1920 to 1944. Why did they change the name, you ask? Well, old school beliefs. You see, unfortunately, Kennesaw was very much into the idea of segregation. For the 24 years that he was the commissioner, he did all he could to keep baseball segregated, which is of course a good reason to remove this guy. So in 2020, the BBWAA decided, well, frick that guy, and I'm so sorry I used an expletive there. Ken Rosenthal started the motion to remove his name, and Kennesaw was officially removed from the award starting in the 2020 season. As I mentioned a little bit ago, the BBWAA selects 2 writers from each team. Most often they are the beat writers, but they could also be columnists or backup writers. This means that 30 members vote for the AL MVP and 30 vote for the NL MVP. These super special members then get a ballot with 10 blank spots, and they get to fill in who they think the MVP is this season. Their first place vote gets 14 points, second place gets 9, and each further lower pick gets 1 less point. And you could probably guess it by now, but the player who gets the most points from voting becomes the MVP for the season. How do you define valuable? Well, if you're the BBWAA the same way since 1931. This is what the ballot tells the voters to base their votes off of. Dear voter, there is no clear-cut definition of what most valuable means. It is up to the individual voter to decide who is the most valuable player in each league to his team. The MVP need not come from a division winner nor a playoff qualifier. The rules of the voting remain the same as they were written on the first ballot in 1931. Number 1, the actual value of a player to his team, that is, the strength of their offense and their defense. The open-ended question on this list. This isn't just the highest WAR, so take that out of your mind right now. In 2019, Mike Trout won the MVP award with a WAR of 7.9, which was below both Alex Bregman's 8.9 and Marcus Semion's 8.5. In 2018, Jacob deGrom received 5th place in MVP voting while having the highest WAR of 9.9. The second highest WAR in 2018 for the NL was Aaron Nola with 9.2, and he finished in 13th place for the MVP award. Christian Yelich won that year, and I'm assuming it's because his batting average was .326, so that definitely made him better. My summary is, don't expect someone to win MVP because of a newer stat called WAR. That doesn't mean MVP. Number 2, number of games played. How much they show up for work, I guess. Number 3, general character, disposition, loyalty, and effort. So be nice to people and probably don't do crime. Number 4, former winners are eligible to win. I don't think you need an explanation here, but someone can win twice or more, and that includes back-to-back. I'm tired of doing the voice, so number 5, members of the committee may vote for more than one member of a team. And those are the 5 things voters take into consideration when they make their vote for who's going to be the MVP. The player's value, how many games they played, the player's general character, winners can win again, and if they feel like voting for 2 people on the same team, well, they sure can do that. While it is technically possible to have a co-MVP, just don't expect that to happen. It has happened once, and that was in 1979 when Keith Hernandez and Willie Stargell received the award together. The voters submit their ballots before the start of the postseason. Yep, you may be watching your team play in October, but your favorite player's performance isn't factored in at all to it. The votes are counted by the BBWAA secretary or treasurer, and they count the votes shortly before the winner is announced in November. If I knew, I would tell you, but I simply don't know. No matter what you read or what you see, no one knows who the MVP is until just before it is announced in November, because that's when they count the votes. So for about a month, the answer is just sitting somewhere in a closet unknown, while everyone is sitting around waiting for the answer. I hope this gave you a nice little lesson on the MVP award, and if it didn't, well, this was free, so at least there's that. Thank you all so much for watching, have a great night, like and subscribe, and check out my other videos.